Hi, hey, it's Linda here, and I'm so glad you decided to join me for this sober, curious, older women of faith session. I want to talk to you a little bit about why I'm here. I started my journey back in 1976. That was the beginning of my sober, curious thing, and I really hadn't didn't really know what that was. That's kind of a new term. What I knew for sure back in the 70s is that this hippie, this drinking, drugging flower child had had enough. And yet I couldn't quit. I had tried, and I just couldn't quit. I was going to kill myself. That was going to be my plan because I didn't know what else to do. The shame and the guilt of the blackouts and the things that were happening, that I was waking up to people in places that I didn't know where I was, and I driven, and lots more. A huge list of things that I just couldn't live with myself. But then somebody told me that God had a plan for my life, and that I didn't have to live the way I was, using alcohol and drugs as an escape, and men and all kinds of other things. So I said, "All right, God, if you're real, prove it to me." So I said, "If you're real, I'm going to this bar band that I play in, and we're going to practice. And we always smoke dope and drink. And if you're real, God, then make me sick at the thought of alcohol and drugs." And I walked in, and I couldn't take a drink like I had every other night for years. And then I said, "God, if that was you, if you're real, if that was really you, give me another sign." And a light bulb blew up. I'm like, "God, if that is really you, give me another sign." And I got a shock from the microphone. Like, okay, all right. So that was it. I quit drinking. More stuff happened, but in a nutshell, I quit drinking 2 days later, I think. No, that was actually my last drink at that point. And I packed up and I got out of town, got out of state, moved to Arizona, a state that doesn't drink near as much as Wisconsin does. But then years later, I came back to Wisconsin, stayed sober for 10 years, and then got into a group of people at a church. And alcohol, it's normal. I'm back in Wisconsin. That's what we do here. Brats and beer. How do you go to a Packer game without tailgating and having some beer? And how do you do anything? I mean, really, after I looked at it again, after 10 years of drinking, I drank a lot for every reason. When I was mowing the lawn, when I'd go out fishing, when I was cleaning the house. I wasn't a fallen down drunk. I didn't I I didn't get picked up for drunk driving, only by the grace of God. But it it's the kind of thing where you just don't realize how bad it is, as long as you're a functional drunk, and as long as it hasn't caused you too many problems. But that's the thing, we oftentimes don't realize the problems that it is causing. So I got sober curious again after almost losing my job, because a counselor and I called a client when I was drunk. Not a good idea. Not during a session. Oh man, what was I thinking? I was so blessed that somebody said, either get your stuff together, or I'm calling the authorities. For me, the licensing board. And that was going to that'll be 30 years ago. And so that sober curiosity, it helped me. That helped me. A year prior to that, I had a counselor that I had been seeing, and she said, "Gosh, Linda, looks like you might have a problem." I don't have a problem. She said, "Well, try quit for 30 days." And I was so mad, I couldn't quit. I went home and had a drink. I was so mad. But it took me a while. It took me a while. So I wanted to do this sober curious thing in part. I've been a counselor 35 years now, and I wanted to do it because I have learned a couple of years ago, and I'm going to share my screen now, that women of faith, I don't know as much women, I know the women of faith. I was a woman of faith. I was somebody who was leading a worship team in teaching Sunday school when I had all these problems. But I know there's a lot of women of faith that are struggling or curious. I mean, here are these ladies on this picture with, one's got a cup of coffee and one's got a glass of wine, curious about, is this where I really want to go? Do I really want to? What does God say about it? For those of you Christians, if the Bible matters, well, there's some stuff in there, but this is not a guilt trip. Who this workshop is for is women of faith who are over 40, maybe sober curious, maybe you love God and you go to church and all of that, but maybe alcohol has become too much of a daily habit, perhaps. Maybe it's a struggle that you're having. Maybe it's a reward that sometimes goes too far, and maybe you don't remember it the next day. Not sure if you're an alcoholic, but you know that alcohol's taking more than it's giving from you. Money is one of those things. You feel guilt, shame, or like you've got a double life. I certainly did. And you sense that maybe God is inviting you to something more, and you want to have some joy and peace without needing alcohol. So, what you need to know is that this is a no judgment zone. I am not here to judge you and tell you you're a sinner because you choose to drink. That's not what this is about. And you don't have to decide today to quit drinking forever. You don't have to decide to quit drinking at all. But if you're sober curious, I just want you to be aware of a few things, and that there's many ways alcohol impacts us physically, mentally, emotionally, cognitively, financially, socially. And but you have a purpose on this earth, and being your best matters. And we're getting older. What do you want that to look like? And you're not alone. You don't have to do this alone. But if you're watching this is me. If you're looking at the Schlitz beer that I've got hidden in the drawer, and me in the bathroom being the porcelain queen, that's how my life used to be. Hiding things here and there. Now I just do it with chocolate. But I I have gone from being the porcelain queen, puking in the toilet and being sicker than a dog and missing, work or school the next day, to doing what I'm doing now, which has been a counselor for 35 years. Got all kinds of awards, been on all kinds of television, radio programs, and lots of papers. Got 4 books out, just wrote my 5th book. And actually 6th. I've got a couple to publish, but I'm excited about the opportunity to be sharing this with you, and I hope you'll find it helpful, because the sad reality is that alcohol-induced death rates have increased by 89% from 99 to 24, and it was consistently steeper in women. How many more women are drinking and dying of alcohol-induced causes? Women 55 to 64 have more than doubled since the 90s, and now exceed rates in younger women. Although younger women, 25 to 34, they have the largest percentage of increase at, more so than other women, but women in midlife and early 45 to 64, they're carrying the highest absolute risk. So we need to look at that, especially alcohol related liver disease. This is a problem. And alcohol affects 50-year-old women differently than it does a 25-year-old woman, or certainly much, much different than it does a man. And women generally, why? Why does it affect women more? Because we have less body water and smaller livers, especially if you aren't hydrated to begin with and you drink coffee all day. Coffee dehydrates you, and then you go drink alcohol. Not good. So it tends to lead to higher blood alcohol levels, and this causes more problems in liver efficiency declines. So it causes a lot of problems with your liver. Now, as you enter perimenopause or menopause, the liver's already working hard to clear your hormones and estrogen. Alcohol competes with that, so it stays in the system longer and it worsens your hormone symptoms. Now, if you want to look up some of these places where I've gotten these, just ask me for the PowerPoint. Be happy to share with you where these UHH and MC, these are places where you can click on and go and actually read the statistics if you'd like. So these hormones, hot flashes, night sweats, you got them already when you're getting to that perimenopausal. I hit that at 36. So that's why I lowered my level. I was working with women 50 and older. I lowered it to 40 because my girls are in their 40s now. And my daughter just said her daughter, my granddaughter, calls her Sparkles, the gray, because I call it the Sober Silver Sisters group. And people are like, oh, you have to be old. No, you don't have to be old. But if women 35 to 40 are starting to get gray hair, hey, you can be any age. But alcohol, it can raise your core body temperature and it dilates blood vessels under the skin, which triggers hot flashes, night sweats, which you've already got that problem. And it changes this vasomotor symptoms, which is the other reason why you see a lot of women who drink alcohol and smoke a lot, their skin changes. It is not as good. Some people say, oh, you know that guy's a drinker because his nose is red all the time. That's from those blood vessels being dilated. The other thing, sleep, anxiety, mood, and brain functioning is not good. Perimenopause and menopause, they already come with these sleep disruptions, but then you drink alcohol and now you're having more hot flashes. You're waking up more at night. It worsens the next day fatigue, irritability, and brain fog. All of these change. And now you're also got the hormonal shifts that can trigger mood swings, anxiety, and depression. And alcohol is a central nervous system depressant. It alters brain chemistry in ways that can increase anxiety and depressive symptoms over time. Even if you weren't previously diagnosed with anxiety and depression, it can cause problems. Even if you're not in menopause, it can cause problems. So it may seem to offer that temporary relief, but it's lying to you. Really, it's just lying to you. And then you got that belly fat, that midlife belly fat problem, which a lot of us do. And with age and estrogen decline, metabolism naturally slows and weight gain happens, especially around the middle. It becomes much more common, and alcohol adds empty calories and makes it harder to maintain a healthy weight because it's also changing your metabolism. Many women notice There's daytime fatigue and brain fog, like I just talked about, but that's also coming from the poor sleep. So all of these things are being impacted. And then you got bones and osteoporosis, which is increasing as well after menopause. So you've got the risk of that and fractures. And then you're drinking and you're tipping into walls, you're falling down. Now you've got more broken bones. And those of us in recovery, in AA, we know a lot of people who have fallen down, self included. I have fallen down. I'm sure those of you who are drinking have fallen down. Now add that to older women with higher risks of bone density issues. Yeah, that's why it's a problem. Now, heart health and blood pressure, another big problem. After menopause, a woman's risk of heart disease increases in part due to lower estrogen. Alcohol raises blood pressure and cholesterol and makes maintaining a healthy weight more difficult. So add that to the lower metabolism. Now you've got this whole problem too, of adding cholesterol. New studies emphasize that the potential heart benefit far outweighs any kind of thing you might have heard in the past that, oh, a glass of red wine's actually good for your heart. No. Increased risk of cancer and other things is a much greater risk than a benefit that alcohol could ever have. There's cancer risk. This really blew me away. Large studies show that even low to moderate drinking raises breast cancer risk. One analysis estimated 9% increase in breast cancer risk for every 10 grams of alcohol a day, a little under one drink. Listen to that. 9% increase in breast cancer risk for every drink a day. This is part of why they have now come up with the new risk factors or the new recommendations. No alcohol is your best answer because are you willing to have a 9% increase in breast cancer for having a drink a day? I don't know. I don't want to take that risk. But that blew me away. A moderate drinker is someone who drinks more than one drink a day. And a drink is not like somebody just told me they had 2 margaritas, but they were the 21-ounce margaritas or 20, whatever. I don't even know. That's 2.5 drinks and one margarita. They had 2 margaritas and a bottle of wine. Okay. So 1 drink a day, 7 drinks in a week, more than 7 drinks in a week. That is moderate drinker. You're beyond the minimal drinker. So for postmenopausal women, alcohol plus hormone replacement therapy, that is an even bigger breast cancer risk. More than either one alone, because you are now, alcohol is circulating the estrogen and it slows its breakdown down, slows the breakdown of estrogen down. So alcohol is also linked with a higher risk of colorectal cancer, another concern that raises with age to begin with. So man, I didn't know all these risks until a couple years ago. So in a nutshell, alcohol in midlife, anything beyond 40, for women, they don't mix well. Because after 40, alcohol means more intensive hot flashes and night sweats, poor sleep, more next day fog, higher anxiety, lower mood, harder time losing weight, weaker bones, high fracture risk, higher risk of heart disease, breast and colorectal cancer. In a nutshell. There you go. I gave you the long version and the short version. But my goodness, so has this made you sober curious yet? I don't know. Has it? For me, sobriety, it's not about a punishment. I looked at that when I first sobered up, that it was like a punishment. It felt like a punishment there for a while because, oh my gosh, how can I go for a day without drinking? They said, oh, just go 24 hours. 24 hours felt like an eternity. I had a hard time going 5 minutes. Seriously. It's like, I'm home from work. What am I going to do? I can't have a glass of wine. I always had a glass of wine. We always had beer and pizza or fish fry and beer. I just didn't know what to do with myself. So that seemed like a punishment. But then I realized that God has a better plan for me, and that plan was a good plan. And that if I just listen to all these things I just read you, that I could get better sleep. I could be fresher in the morning. I wouldn't have a hangover. I wouldn't be embarrassed and ashamed. People wouldn't be talking about me the next day. I wouldn't be at risk of losing my job because I was in a blackout and did something stupid. I wouldn't have to worry about going to jail because I was driving drunk. I wouldn't have to worry about where did all my money go that I brought to the bar or that was on my credit card. Where did all these charges came from? Oh my gosh. I don't know about you, but man, I spent a lot of money on booze. So add those things up. My friend Laura, and she was going to join me on screen right now, and we got hacked. Our Zoom meeting got hacked. So I'm going to share some of Laura's story with you. Amazing story, but she is a great example of somebody who struggled to get the ball rolling with sobriety, but now realized her purpose. And I met her through church. So she was someone who was going to church, who was a believer, who wanted to do God's will. And actually, she tells a story of how she heard a voice, go home. She was in New York and go home. And so she came home, and the pastor lived next door. And long story short, then I met her, reached out to her. She's got 5 years sober now. She got married, has 4 kids, 2 of which aren't hers, but the youngest 2. And while she was doing that, went back to school, got a bachelor's degree in social work, and became a licensed AODA counselor. But my goodness, and the video that I think I sent out to some of you, perhaps, if you've watched it or if you've been on me, she had only been sober like 6 months when she made that, and now it's been 5 years, and amazing. So I want you to hear from Laura and what a great story she has. But it is one of those things that I'm going to share my screen again. I want you to see how important your purpose is. And if it's increasing your risk of cancer, alcoholism, and heart disease and depression, and taking your money away, does it make sense that this is just logical? It's not a legalistic thing because the Bible says you shouldn't get drunk. It says you shouldn't get drunk. It doesn't say you shouldn't drink. It says you shouldn't get drunk on wine. Yeah, Jesus turned water into wine. It was a celebration. But that same wine, well, probably not the same wine, but the Corinthian church, they had to be rebuked because they were getting drunk during communion. So getting drunk is the problem. But some of us can't just have a glass of wine. And if 1 glass of wine is going to increase your risks of breast cancer by 7%, is that what it said? Wow, I'm not taking that risk. God's invitation is not stop drinking. Let me heal your sleep, your mood, your energy, and your future. That's what God's saying. Do you want God to do that and to help you? Because here's the thing, God can make you a faucet of hope. You already are a faucet of hope. You're uniquely created for the purpose of bringing what only you can bring to change the world. No one, this is number two, no one has ever come before you or who will ever come after you that has the skills, talents, abilities, passions, and experiences that you do. You are the only one that can offer another person or organization what they need. And the world is dying of thirst to experience the hope that you were created. You were created to bring it to them through your uniqueness, but you need to be ready, able, and willing. And I can tell you for a fact, people, if I was still drinking, I would not be doing this video. I would not have set up all the things I've set up and have hundreds of videos online and written books telling my story, because my goal and my acronym for hope is help, opportunity, praise, and encouragement. That's what we are to be to one another, is give one another hope. And you can't do it when you're passed out or sitting in a bar and you're drunk and you don't remember what somebody told you, their heart-wrenching story, because you were too drunk to remember the next day. You can save a life by being there for someone. So none of us is perfect, and sometimes you'll need a plumber who can help to hook you up in the right place, repair and polish you so you're ready to serve for service. That's why I call it a faucet. Some people say, oh, you're a beautiful instrument. Yes, and a faucet isn't always pretty because they get rusty and they fall apart, and all kinds of bad things happen to faucets. But if you're dying of thirst, do you care what the faucet looks like? You just want it to be working. And that's what I mean. We may need a plumber. We may get sick. We may need somebody to encourage, support, clean us up, dust us off, turn us on, whatever it is. But we're there for one another. And because you are so desperately needed, you must be willing to invest in becoming the best you can be to ensure you're open and available to those who need you. Lives depend on it. And because of you, they'll be able to help others change lives. See, so if I can help you, and like I help Laura, and Laura is now out helping other people. And Tammy, who is another great friend of mine, she came to work for my husband and I. Actually, she volunteered and she worked in our homeless program, and she was already sober when she came, but she has done so much for our community. It's amazing. And so Tammy is another person that is out spreading the word, sharing her story. And both of these women are more than willing to help anybody. So if there is someone who's watching this, who, when you see Laura and Tammy's story and they resonate with you, please join us. This is Laura. This is Tammy, and both of them have videos with me on YouTube that I will share with you. But just go to my YouTube channel. Tammy's story, I died from drinking and lived to tell about it. What an amazing story. You got to go and listen to this on my YouTube channel. It is really great. And the question that I want to challenge you with, can you stay sober for 5 days? Just 5 days. Okay, and I'm not just saying stay sober. Can you not drink any alcohol at all? Because I've had people say, yeah, I can stay sober. I only had 2 beers. I didn't get drunk. No, oh, okay, let me rephrase that. Can you not drink anything for 5 days? If you, or do you even want to go there? Or are you still sober curious? If alcohol is a problem for you, I want you to at least go to my 5 day challenge, and I want you to sign up for it because the 5 day challenge is going to ask you personally a bunch of questions, and it will lead you to a logical decision by the end of it. If alcohol is something you want to continue to drink in whatever fashion you're drinking it, or if you are interested in maybe moving beyond 5 days. But the 5 day challenge, it's going to have videos from Tammy and I, and it's going to have worksheets and food for thought for you to think about all kinds of things. It's going to give you a really great checklist, a sober survival guide, so you know how to start this journey of sobriety, because it's not easy. It's not easy to get sober and stay sober. But I know that if you work at it, if you want it, I can help you get there. I asked Laura, the first year she was trying to sober up, I asked her, how much did it cost you that year? Because she had a couple of big time meltdowns. She ended up going into treatment. She was paying for a counselor out of pocket that was $250 or $150, more than what I charge, by the way, but I'm up my prices. So just kidding. But that's what my coworkers charge, $250 an hour for a counselor. And to go to treatment, when my husband went to treatment, $25,000 up front for a 28-day program, $1,000 a day. So, and then we start adding the hospital bills of detox, or of going because you think you're having a heart attack and no, you're just detoxing because you've been drinking too long. I mean, add it up. How much has it cost you? I had someone do this a couple of years ago. Oh, Laura, by the way, she told me over $30,000 in that one year. Had she had to pay it all, she had insurance, but had she had to pay it all out of pocket, would have been over $30,000. I talked to somebody a couple of years ago about this, about, how much is it going to cost you if you keep drinking and you get picked up for drunk driving? Guess what? She got picked up for drunk driving a few months later, and it cost her thousands of dollars, thousands and thousands. I think she had to pay the attorney $5,000 and the court, and then she had to get the little gadget and lots of things that sobriety gives you the freedom from having to worry about any of that stuff. So if you want your life to go a little better, if you want to live a little bit longer, then maybe you want to think about coming back or coming to my 5 day challenge, meet some other women. I just put on Eventbrite a place where you can join us and talk on Sunday nights, other women who are, considering this or who are sober. We meet on Sunday nights at 5 o'clock. And I really want you to consider at least giving it a try. You can go to my website and get the 5 day challenge on there. You can set up an appointment to talk to me in person, but go through the 5 day challenge first and see how that works. And then we can sit down and talk and see if you need more than a 5 day challenge, because I have a 12-week program and I have a 1-year mentorship. I want to help you. I can help you if you want it. I'm here for you. So I hope you'll consider sobriety because it's really a great choice. My name is Linda, and I'm a faucet of hope, and so are you. God bless you.